Hey sister friends, it's Terry and thanks for joining me. We are painting a wreath with some lemons on it, and I went ahead and did the background because I knew it was going to take a minute to dry and I didn't want you to have to sit and watch paint dry with me. So I just went and dried it a little bit with my blow dryer. If you want to see how the background was done, that'll be on the YouTube version of this, but we'll have it there. And it's almost dry. It's dry enough for me to use. This is a 10 by 10 canvas, 1/2 inch deep. One of the cheap ones. I get these in like a 10 pack at Michael's for like $7 or something like that. And they're inexpensive, so you don't have to feel like, oh, I don't want to waste a good canvas if you feel uncertain about what you're painting or something like that. I wanted to do something square today, and this is all I had in square. We're gonna get started with that. The colors that are on this background are Prussian blue by Liquid Hex, teal by Golden, and white by Golden, titanium white. I'm using my old paper plate that already has all the colors on it, and Art Basics oil pastels. So let's just get our circle on here first. This doesn't have to be perfect. You could have done it freehanded. But there we go. It's probably a little bigger than I wanted, but that's okay. This is Art Basics brush. I have these on my website. They come in like a kit, a set of, I don't know how many's in it, 6 or 7 or 5 or something like that brushes. I'm gonna use a couple of those. It's the number 2. It's just a little round. I'm gonna get it good and wet. I've got some water down here. If you're watching today, I would love to know where you're watching from. I am trying to reach somebody in every state. That's my new goal. So if you know somebody who would be interested in another state, tag them and let them know to watch and to tell me what state they're watching from. There, boom, that's done. We're gonna put 5 lemons on it. So let's go ahead and get those sort of sketched out. This is something that's easy. You could do this whole thing with a palette knife, and if that would make you more comfortable with the fact that it's semi-abstract. This one's awkward, but I'm gonna just leave it and go with it. I always keep an extra thing of water to like pre-rinse my brushes with. So I'm gonna get that Payne's Gray off of there for right now. We're gonna use it again in a minute, but first we're gonna get some leaves on here. A 1/4 inch flat, and right now I'm just gonna dip in, and it's really dry because this is some green that was on here already. I'm just keep adding water until I can get a good consistency out of it. Now we're just gonna go just in a basic leaf shape, about 1/3 of the size of our lemons maybe, and just put some sort of leaf shapes on there. They don't have to be perfect, but we'll go one in, one out, one in, one out until we get all the way around. We may cover this one up with some lemon in a minute, but that's okay. Okay, that was pretty quick and easy, huh? I'm gonna pre-rinse it in my little bucket, and we are going to lay on some yellow. I think to begin with, because this Cad yellow medium is so bright, I need to go ahead and mix my yellow and white, a little more suitable of a yellow. Man, that's hard as a rock. And you can go in with these. I'm gonna use a brush because more people seem to have brushes than they do palette knives. Another brush out of that same set, the Art Basics. I don't see what it says, but this looks to be about 3/4 of an inch, about a 3/4 inch flat. But it doesn't matter what brush you use. Use any brush that you want to. Whatever you have handy. You don't have to go buy something. If you don't like this later, when you get a goofy looking lemon like I got right here, if you want to do something crazy with, you know, if you don't like it, you can come back with your blue later on and just cover part of it up. It's no big deal at all. What I'm going to do now is come in with more of the yellow, just picking up the rest of the yellow that I have here, mixing it in with that I already had mixed so that it's not so stark of a difference. I'm going to grab myself some water, just sticking my brush down in the water and wetting it and bringing that back to the palette. Usually and you could switch to a smaller brush now. That's up to you too. Usually your highlights are on the top and your shadowing, there I thought of the word, your shadowing is on the bottom. So we're just going to go with a wide shadow around the bottom of all of these. That's almost more of a lemon color than the first go round, wasn't it? Still picking up Payne's Gray. Grab some more of the white and make myself a paler yellow than I had the first time. Still the same brush. You could switch to a smaller brush if you want to. I'm going to try to keep mashing mine back and forth this way, that way, this way, that way, to, even though I've got a lot of paint loaded on there, I'm trying to get my bristles kind of flat so this won't be as thick as what I did the first time. Okay, now I'm going to grab more white, put it right in that pale that we just made to make it just not be white, be just pale, the palest yellow I can come up with. At this point, if you wanted to do highlights and lowlights and things on your leaves, you would go back in with your green and have your white beside it and do the same exact thing that we just did with the lemons, picking up some darker and some lighter. What I'm going to do is just, since this is almost dry, run my brush in it, run it back over here, wet it a tad, run it back over here where I've got a little bit of the white left and a little bit of yellow. Doesn't matter if it turns into a yellowy green. And I'm going to switch brushes to the small one. Wet it, because you want to keep it pretty wet when you're working with these smaller ones wanting to make small lines. But we'll just go on the tops of these. So when you want to not be so tight and making everything perfect, you use a longer handled brush. Also, when you're standing up to paint, you use a longer handled brush. But you use a longer handled brush and you hold it farther out. If you don't do it like a pencil and you're all tight in there, nah, not with this style of painting. I don't. You can do anything you want to. This is my way. And now we're just, it would be nice, I'm making myself, I don't even know what it's called, but there's a stick and you can hold it and it holds your arm to hold it steady and things like that. I just ordered myself a piece of leather and I'm going to make myself one. I may do that for y'all too, so you can make you one or two if you want. But anyways, I want these to be a little bit abstract, so just putting, not even perfect, we're not even closing it everywhere, anything, just going in and outlining the leaf shapes a little bit. I think I got it at Hobby Lobby or Michael's, but you can get them on Amazon. I think there's some in my Amazon store, as a matter of fact. I do have an Amazon store. It's Sisterhood of the Traveling Brush. Imagine that. And I usually put my favorite supplies in there, so when somebody asks, I can just easily grab you a link. But you can always go look in there and see the regular things that I use. You really need to wait and let this dry. So I'm just going to do part of it because I really want it to go over the lemons and stuff too, and I can't because it's too wet right now. But you will hold your palette knife like this with this finger up top, and we're gonna put it almost parallel to the canvas and just drag it, barely touching the canvas. And we're gonna keep going in the same direction, like don't come here and go this direction and go there and go that direction. We're gonna keep going in this same direction. And if you do this too hard, if you're like too heavy-handed with it, nothing comes off. It's just the craziest thing about how that works. But what we're doing here is semi-distressing it, but we're using white. I'm going to do this same thing over the lemons and the leaves as well. So, but I do need to wait for that to dry some, or either I'll just be smearing all the colors all over it. But you get the gist of it, and I'll post some pictures once this dries and I do that part. Just let the canvas take what it wants and leave the rest on your palette knife. You can do this part or not do this part. This is up to you. So there you go. Now I'm gonna let that dry. Well, here's the last thing you always do. Let me see what color I can get here, whatever color I have left. I'm gonna grab me some of the green. Always remember to sign it, right? This is your art, and people want it because you put your heart into it. Now, did we decide which one was the top? Let's look. I definitely gotta change that around. It was the other way when I began, but things changed. Let's just put a T down here. That's how I sign mine. T, and I always put the year. So this is 21. If I can get enough on my brush and outline my canvas, you know how I always love to like frame it out. So I'm just getting some of the green back on this 1-inch brush. 1-inch flat, but you can do this with a chip brush, you can do this with whatever you want to do it with, but I feel like it's going to have too much dark if I use the Payne's gray. So let's get some green on here. So I think it gave it a little something. You can come back with any other color at any time. If you don't like some of the white on there or whatever, at this point, because we're using the green, we can come back and let's think about where it's darker. We can add in, just using our brush instead of a palette knife in the same way. I hate it. Anyway, I hope you don't hate yours and that things turn out good how you want to. There you go, drop that. Let's see, what I hate is this right here. What I would come back and do, because I hate it, just come back and cover that with blue again. One other thing that I advise is, if you hate something, don't just keep playing with it like I'm doing right now. It's smarter to walk away from it and come back, because you may have liked it how it was to begin with if you had just left it alone. Back to the 1-inch flat. Got a little bit of moisture on it. I don't want this like just painted all solid. I want to be able to see those other colors under there, so that this being wet helps that a lot. This is really dry, and I'm just sort of dragging it now. Drying it, and with this brush, I'm lifting up some of the darker blue and blending it in a little bit with the lighter. Now with just what's left on my brush, I'm just gonna go around here and there and deepen up some of that white. Okay, I like it better. There you go. As soon as, when it dries, I will take a picture and we'll go from there. Thanks for joining me. I had a good time. Bye.